Today, I want to introduce you to a very useful way of understanding how our brains work, which I first came across in a book called The Whole Brain Child by Dan Siegel and Tina Bryson. This model explains a bit about the developing brain and how it processes information, but the thing is, we're all just grown-up 3-year-olds, so I think it's useful for those of us who are older than that to understand this model too. Basically, it uses our hand and our arm as a simplified model to explain what's happening in our highly complex brains. Firstly, our arm and our wrist is like our brainstem, bringing all the information up from around our body into the brain. The very first place it hits is this little piece at the top of our brain called our amygdala. This is a part of what is called our limbic system, which deals with our emotions and the big feelings we experience. It's the part that reacts without thinking. Joy and happiness, shock and fear or anxiety, all the big emotions are there. For many animals, this is the most used part of the brain, acting on instinct. But we humans have more than that. We have this big part at the front of our brains called the prefrontal cortex. And here is where logic and rational decision making lies. From our prefrontal cortex, we're able to rationally assess situations and make decisions based on the information that we have rather than just emotion. Ideally, these two parts of the brain are talking to one another. However, when we look at toddlers or small children, what doctors Bryson and Payne suggest is that they flip the lid, that these two parts stop speaking to each other, and all we see is the raw, exposed emotion. Have you ever seen a child having a meltdown in the supermarket? Something has set them off and all we see is anger and rage. Parents here often adopt one of a few tactics. Deal making: if you don't stop right now, you won't have any TV time later. Or if you do stop, I'll get you some chocolate from over there. Alternatively, we meet them with a similar reaction from our amygdala, meeting their anger with anger, thinking that if the child sees they're being unreasonable, they might stop. The thing is that in these situations, the response from the caregiver is appealing to the logical side of the brain, the rational reasoning. But as this model shows, this isn't the part of the brain that's having the meltdown. It's this one. It's the emotional side. What the suggestion is that with children, we bring them back down through soothing and bringing them back into regulation. And then when these two parts of the brain can speak to one another again, then we can introduce consequences or talk through the situations when they will be able to be heard. As grown adults, this is a helpful tool for us too, because I don't know about you, but there's definitely times in my life when I act in a certain way and then I look back and I say, where did that come from? What was that reaction about? Because I like to think of myself as a rational, logical person most of the time. And yet sometimes I act the complete opposite way from how I want. This shows that there's times that my logic can be hijacked by my emotions. When I, like a 3-year-old, can flip the lid and follow my emotions and my instincts rather than the way I want logically to live and react. What can help bring us back into alignment? Some simple mindfulness exercises can help us become familiar with bringing awareness to our feelings, helping us add a beat between our instinctual reaction and what we want to do. In addition, possibly some work looking inward, getting to know our patterns of behaviour and what our automatic responses are and where they come from can help. When we're aware of what our instinct is, we're better prepared and positioned to make different choices. Hopefully this simple model helps to shine a light on how our brains work and react when we're in highly emotional states, and how we can help ourselves to make the choices we want to, rather than being pulled along by our emotions or our instinctual reactions.